Good morning, everybody. My name is Professor StJohn Crean, and I am the Pro-Vice-Chancellor for Research and Enterprise here at the University of Lancashire. Welcome to our latest episode in the podcast series for the Research and Knowledge Exchange Festival. These podcasts are an opportunity for us to showcase some of the world-leading and incredible research, innovations and practice from across our research and knowledge exchange community, themed around transforming lives and creating prosperity for Lancashire, the UK and beyond. I'm absolutely delighted today to be joined by two colleagues, Professor Karl Williams, who's the Director of the Centre of Waste and Resource Management, and Dr. Komali Kantamaneni, Senior Research Fellow in the School of Engineering and Computing. You're both here to discuss the theme of clean energy and sustainability. And I'm going to start with you, Karl, if that's okay. Could you just tell the audience a little bit about yourself and then seamlessly move into the Centre for Waste Management and Resource Management?
Right. Well, good morning.
Good morning.
So my background is in material science and engineering, and I moved across from heavy industry into looking more about resources and into recycling and the circular economy before the circular economy really existed back in the 1990s. And I've seen a big shift in the way we've started to work with resources and materials and energy for that matter as well. And I think that's something that I've brought to the centre and what we do within the centre, which is work with industry, councils, NGOs, both regionally, nationally and internationally as well, and help them on that journey in trying to become much more sustainable in their operations and what they do. And one of the big drivers for sustainability, of course, is the climate emergency.
Indeed. Indeed. And it's an incredible portfolio of work you carry out. Could you give us an example of the types of projects that the centre gets involved in?
So one of our largest projects, and one I've been working on for 20 odd years, is looking at end-of-life vehicles. So we produce millions and millions of vehicles per year around the globe, but we also dispose of millions and millions of vehicles. And one of the things is about trying to recover the materials that are in those vehicles. And it's very easy at the beginning to recover the metal part, but as we transition now to more advanced and electric cars, we're finding there's more and more plastics and more hard to recycle materials in that. And my research and the work that we've been doing here at the university has been concentrating on how to deal with what's called automated shredder residue. So that's what's left after you've recovered as much as you can from
the
a
easy
vehicle.
bit, so
the easy bit.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about the amount, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of tons. And when I talk to people about waste and about amounts, it's really hard for people to understand how much of waste is actually generated.
Yeah.
And when we talk about recycling and reuse, again, the numbers become so huge that people just go, that number's just too big for me to really understand. But from a industry point of view, you're having to deal with that sort of numbers.
Sustainability initiatives are mentioned a lot of times in and around policy strategies, local, regional, national, international governments. What role do you think sustainability initiatives should have in economic growth?
Well, one of the things you hear a lot is that people think the word sustainability and economic growth are in juxtaposition to each other. But I would argue that really sustainability underpins economic growth, because it's really important, more so today with what's happening in the Middle East, to think about how we use resources, how we make things more circular, and also how we use and generate energy as well. And it gives companies and nations that security. And companies that do adopt a more sustainable way save a lot of money, because they're thinking about the resources, they're thinking about supply chain security. They're also insulating themselves from energy shocks, which we're having at the moment. And it's not a nice to have. It's something that is also being pushed by investors, by local government, by policy. and it's something that is also generating new jobs, new opportunities, new skill sets, and something that the university can take a leading role in.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that in the sense of it's an incredibly here and now subject, given, let's say, the continuing emergence of the threat to the longevity of life and quality of life. Are you noticing a generation of young students, even researchers, who are coming armed and ready and determined to get into this area of research?
I'm noticing a change of attitude towards it.
Okay.
I think the students that we're getting now are much more aware of the impact of what we actually do.
Yeah.
They're more aware of the impact of how we consume things and how we dispose of things as well. And I think that's coming through in how they engage with their various topics that they're studying at university.
And of course, you're fighting for monies with a whole range of competitors, the obvious one being defence at the moment. Do you think the funding into this area for research or development or innovation is strong enough? Would you like to see, well, we'd all love to see more, but is there a need for much more?
I think it's critical, really, because defence uses a lot of resources. And as we get more and more into AI and computers and quantum computers and technology, we're relying on fewer and fewer materials, which are harder and harder to come by. Yeah. And therefore, if we can recover them from other parts of society, then that helps to support the defence. Yeah. So the defence industry can't really see itself on its own because it's using the same components that we're using in cars and our modern life.
I mean, it's absolutely fascinating, and it is possible for me to think back to my O-level days. I know that for some of you don't believe that's possible, but those early diagrams and the early chapters of the GCSE revision books were all about water and water circulation, but it's far more than that now, isn't it? It's the whole resource market recycling, and nothing disappears.
It's everything. One of the main focuses is that we're taking an attitude towards resources as nature takes an attitude to itself. So we've got the water cycle, we've got the organic cycle, and we're thinking the same. Because we use vast quantities of energy to mine materials, to extract oil out of the ground, and we're running out of those resources or the concentration of them. So we need to have a more circular. And also, we've only got one planet. And I think last week, 2 weeks ago, when we had the mission to the moon, the opportunity to look back at the Earth shows we have only got one Earth.
Yes.
And everything that we have is on this one planet. So we can't suddenly have more material from nowhere.
We can't replace with new material. Thank you, Karl. Komali, listening to that from Karl's work, you have an incredible reach with your research internationally, globally, and you've managed, and you're much in demand in significant international bodies who concern themselves not just with the recycling element, but the consequences of the problems that led to the challenges in recycling. And you are hold the august title of co-director for UN SPIDER. I think it would be really helpful if you could perhaps just give an explanation of what the SPIDER is and what type of work it does, and I think give the audience a little feel for the reach and the connections and the types of colleagues you're working with across the globe.
Good morning. First of all, Professor Shinjin. Thank you so much. As a co-director of the United Nations SPIDER, I would like to give the information to explain in a simple format. First of all, UN SPIDER means United Nations Platform for Space-Based Information for Disaster Management and Emergency Response. It is one of the United Nations program under the UNOOSA, that is the United Nations Office for Outer Space Affairs. Simply, UN SPIDER helps the nation to use satellites and data and GIS for better disaster management.
Just to interrupt you, I know you're in full flow, but it's the only office for...
Yeah, you are absolutely right. Across the world, there are 27 offices. So we have established a 27th office nearly 3.5 years ago.
It's extraordinary.
So only one office, one nation.
But it's only here because of you. Well, let's not beat about the bush. It's the work that you've done, this incredible
Of course, university helped
work.
to establish right
Of
area
course,
vital
of
role,
course.
of course.
But,
yeah.
Okay, apologies for interrupting.
Yes, it's okay.
Keep going.
Yeah. Actually, this is not only a technical platform, it also helps the to support, to coordinate, to conduct their workshops and training programs to help vulnerable countries especially. UN Spider has three main parts of the work. First one is we technically advise the governments to use spatial-based technology for better management of the disasters. Here I would like to give you an example. A couple of years ago, we have visited Philippines as a technical advisor on the behalf of the United Nations. They selected all over the world 12 people. I was one of the technical advisor for the United Nations.
Okay.
So we visited Philippines and we offered our advisors to the government along with the Philippine Space Agency. So they are very much welcomed and they are going to implement our strategies. That is the one part. And second one, building the capacity. That is capacity building through the conducting the workshops and training programs and research knowledge exchange events. I would like to give you an example. Last year, we have conducted a research and knowledge exchange activities. You have also attended one of those ones. We have invited the world-class researchers and academicians from all over the world, for example, Ireland, Mauritius, India, Brazil. They came here, they spent 1 month to 3 months, and they interacted with our academicians and the various departments, and they gave the solutions. We commonly worked to give a solution to the world problems, especially in the disaster management and space-based technologies.
Amazing. That's incredible work you're doing, and it's very influential. As a sort of interim question, I asked Karl about the types of students coming through. Do you get the feeling that students coming through are more concerned about disasters occurring in increasing frequency?
Yeah, exactly. At the moment, we have we have 7 PhD students originally I have.
Yes.
5 are, I am a director of studies. They are working on the disasters and climate change and mangroves. And also some masters also project working on waste management and climate change as well. So this is an inter and multidisciplinary project. So we are not only restrict only disaster management, we are also expanding health, climate change, various technologies as well. So we are becoming a hub as a multi and interdisciplinary studies.
Well, that's incredible, and a good opportunity for students who come into the university, into the school, to experience the incredible work.
Exactly.
I'm going to ask you a question that I've asked others who've described the incredible international work they're doing, but is there anything that we can take and advise more regionally in Lancashire from the work that you've done on the international stage?
Yeah, that is very good question. We are very practical at regional and sub-regional level. We support disaster management systems and early warning, and especially for the floods and the storms, as well as coastal hazards.
Your go-to people to get information from, aren't you?
Yeah. And recently, one of the part of the PhD project, we done coastal vulnerability of the Lancashire. We have found that majority of the Lancashire is maybe under the water within next 30 to 40 years, and results not yet means submitted. We are going to submit it to the Nature Scientific reports.
Okay, I better sell my house quickly before it goes underwater. Komali, I put the question to you that I put to Karl, which is that funding and support for development and research and knowledge exchange has a heavy STEM, hard-edged STEM bias to it. Do you find funding can be a challenge into this arena? Actually,
to get your funding is a challenge, but there are a lot of funding is available in this field.
Yes.
Recently, we have collaborated with Indian disaster management, which is working with the central government. So they told that we are going to work collaboratively for the funding opportunities. So we have a network. We are going to work towards that one as well.
That's fantastic. Both of you, the work you're doing to preserve the planet. I have in my head the image that Karl was describing, taken from Artemis, of the one planet, the blue planet, whatever you call it, and listening to you both care passionately about its persistence and its continuing survival. So thank you very much, and thank you for putting the university very strongly on the map in this arena. So, colleagues, we've now heard from Karl and Komali, and I'd like to thank them both for coming today and sharing the details of their current work, thought, ideas, and warnings as well, which is pertinent, I think, to the topic. We can hear more today from Komali at today's festival, talking around sustainability and coastal disaster risk, from insight to action. I'd also like to encourage you to explore the university's very own Dragon's Den today, where you can hear the best applications from our staff and students. To both of you, thank you very much for your time, and to everybody attending the festival, enjoy and learn. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.